So there are many things we can say, I could say, but I want to start by thinking about well-being, because this kind of well-being from harmonizing the elements is pretty important to what we were talking about last week, deep adaptation. Because if we have well-being within ourselves, with each other, with our environment, we don't need a lot of stuff. Actually, it's really easy to be content when the elements are in harmony. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. And it's said that when the elements are in disharmony, then we get sick. And you can identify different illnesses according to which elements are out of balance. So obviously with a fever, there's too much fire. And then there are other illnesses where there's too much water or too much wind or too much earth. Maybe with some mental problems, there might be too much space. I haven't thought about that before, but it's just an idea. But if we think about consciousness and its role, consciousness has the potential for harmonizing our personal elements, like the meditations we're doing in this session, the one we've just done, and the next one can all help us with that. But also, if you do get involved with a system like Kalachakra, then definitely one of its purposes is harmonizing the inner elements. And the more they become harmonized, the more spiritually realized you become, actually. It's connected. But this isn't just an inner sort of topic. This also has the outer aspect. And this is to do with the elements of the universe, or the elements of the planet, the elements of our environment. And when they are disharmonious, then you get various disasters, such as raging wildfires would be a very strong example from the last 12 months in many parts of the world. But also tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, tsunamis. I mean, it's kind of part of our weather patterns more and more that we have these extreme weather situations because of the climate crisis, and also the way that we mistreat the ecology as humans. Even during this coronavirus period, in some ways the elements have actually enjoyed more harmony when people haven't been so active with the air travel and the road travel and so forth. There's a lot we can learn from this little pause we've had. But of course, will we learn? Well, we have to, actually. It's not really a choice. From a personal point of view, the more that you become aware of the same nature of your own elements of your body and mind, and the elements outside of you in the world, the more you become aware of that, the more that you live in harmony with yourself and your environment. And actually, especially when it comes to consciousness, the more that we recognize the common nature of consciousness between ourselves and other living beings, then also you can harmonize the way you relate with others just through reflecting on this. Actually, you don't have to do it all in the kind of sitting meditation we've just been doing. Whenever I go to the beach, I have this experience of the elements. Recently, I've been in the sea 2 or 3 times. And when I'm swimming in the sea, I feel so at one with the water element. And then if the sun is shining, I connect with the fire element very easily. Somehow, I don't know what it is. Maybe, I don't think I'm unique, but somehow my senses open up. And then I look at the land from where I'm in the sea, and I see the cliffs or the buildings or whatever there is. And then I'm connecting with the earth element. And then maybe there's some breeze. There's certainly some motion. My body is moving. The ocean is moving. So I'm connecting with the wind element. And then when I recognize that all this material, this physical sort of activity and the environment is all happening within space, there's something very open there, which goes beyond, the immediate physicality. And then there's this whole point about being conscious, what's sometimes called sentient, having experience, feeling. There's a difference between ourselves and a rock or a tree, which is that we're aware. And we can be in any of these kind of situations, like I just described, in swimming in the sea. And you can recognize that your awareness is what enables you to know all this. So as I say, it's not necessary to be meditating on the cushion, but the more that you become aware of the 6 elements, it feels to me as if it's a very useful kind of practice for daily life also. And we can see how the world has distorted our relationship with the natural elements of our bodies and our environment through, over-intellectualization, through pushing and squeezing ourselves and the world into ways of life which are unnatural. So I'm just sharing my experience actually, but this is coming from the Kalachakra tradition actually, in my case. But not only in Kalachakra, it's actually common in all traditional cultures seem to talk about earth, water, fire, and air, or wind. And then on top of that, space and consciousness may or may not be added. But, I tend to quote from Nagarjuna, and it's common in all the Indian traditions, but also in the traditions of other parts of the world. This way of understanding the material world. It's something very deep. We've lost touch with it because we started chemistry and we said there's so many other elements and all that kind of thing. And then we kind of lost sight of this one, which is much simpler, but it's also deeper. And it connects with experience, how we actually experience things. So that's why it's very important. It's got a subjective aspect, and therefore it helps with our health. That's one of the things I wanted to keep emphasizing. Physical health, but also mental health, actually. Okay. It's time for the next meditation.